Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, citizens of Revere. This is the October 6th. We still getting this echo in here?
There's still an echo.
All right, well, I don't know how to deal with it, but this is the October 6th zoning subcommittee meeting of the Revere City Council. This evening we have 3 items on the agenda before us. The first is C-14-08. That's the petition by Robert Corcoran, Boberin, LLC of 9 Whitney Road, Boxford, Mass., requesting to construct 6 townhouses within the RB district at 75 Lamson Street in Revere, Massachusetts. My understanding is, Madam Clerk, that we have a, has this been, what's the cue? I don't know what I can do. I'm not technically proficient. I was back here before. Am I the only one getting an echo? Is that better? Is it better now? How about now? This is like getting your eyes examined, except it's your ears. I believe we have on C-14-08, we have a letter from the applicant's representative, I think, wishing to withdraw. My position on that is to bring it up before the City Council. By the way, this evening we have Councilor Ganasso, Councilor Patch, and Councilor Penta, who are subcommittee members, as well as with us tonight, Councilor Morabito, Councilor Haas, Councilor Janito, and Councilor Arrigo. Back to the issue at hand. The applicant is withdrawing his application for the special permit this evening, so I don't think there's any need to have any further discussion on the matter. If that is the case, I'll have the council president suspend the rules, and we'll bring it forward, and the council can then vote as it pleases on the request to withdraw. So we'll move on to item C-14-11, which is an application from New Singular Wireless PCS LLC by its manager, AT&T Mobility Corporation, 550 Kitchituate Road, Suites 13 and 14, Framingham, Massachusetts, requesting a special permit from the City of Revere City Council to modify an existing telecommunications facility by replacing 6 of its existing 9 antennae, so it's supposed to be antennae, not antennas, and adding 3 new antennae for a total of 12 antennae associated equipment at 134 Railroad Street in Revere, Massachusetts. Is the applicant here tonight? Would you come forward, please state your name and your address, please.
Good evening. Michael Dolan from the law firm of Brown Rudnick, One Financial Center, Boston, Massachusetts. Thank you, sir.
I don't know if you have anything to add to anything that was presented at the public hearing. I don't believe you were here. You were.
It was one of my colleagues.
One of your colleagues
here tonight. But,
correct.
Yeah, we have nothing to add. That would be in addition to what was either presented or was a part of our application materials.
Very well. Any city councils? Councilor Penta.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. You representing the antenna company or the building owner, property owner?
Antenna company.
Okay, because I have a couple issues, Mr. Chairman, and basically going to ask you to table this. One is that the building that they're asking these to go on is a total nightmare. I'm surprised it's still standing. I mean, it looks like something that is in Afghanistan. They got bombed, and it's just a shell. And they're actually running a business out of there. But I actually would like to ask the city solicitor, the profits made out of these things, which the city gets basically almost nothing. The profits made out of these, that they fix up the exterior of the building at least to make it a little appeasing. I mean, I know the area down there, it's come a long way. It probably, you know, in this building here really sticks out like a sore thumb. And I believe that they're even a tax title. So there are some questions to be answered on this thing before we can vote on it. So I would ask you to table this, and if the clerk I mean, if the solicitor would respond on if we could force them to use money to fix the outside up. Second of all, if the clerk could send a letter to the inspectional services and building department, see if this building is even, I mean, I can't believe they're even doing work in this building. They have people walk in this building. And second of all, check with the treasurer to see if there's not a tax title. Until those things are answered, I can't see how we could vote on any of this. So with that, I'll wait for those type of answers. Like I said, if the clerk could talk to those three entities in the city and get the information back to us, I'd ask this to be held until then. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Penta. I should mention that we have received the communication from the site plan review section of the Department of Planning and Community Development with 6 recommendations on this. Have you been made aware of these 6 recommendations by any chance?
No.
You haven't yet. It's a letter that's dated September 24th, 2014 to the City Council regarding this, and I'll make sure that the clerk provides you with a copy of this. My guess is, based on Ward Councilor's request, that this will remain in the subcommittee. But in the meantime, we can hear from Councilor Novoselsky, I believe has something to, who's just joined us in the chamber and is a subcommittee member, has some comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I did see the site plan review reports, and that's what I wanted to comment on, a couple of the issues. And I don't know, it's on number 3, it says new antennas shall be facade mounted on a rooftop shelter and shall be set back for 10 feet from the edge of the roof. So is that are you into what the item looks like and how they're mounting everything?
Yeah, we included with our application photo simulations.
Right.
And
Okay.
the antennas we're attaching will be adjacent to the existing antennas in the same design and arrays. The additional equipment cabinets will go inside the building on the 3rd floor, where we already have interior equipment cabinets. There's another carrier up there that has them exterior. Ours are inside. So the visual impact that this addition of 3 additional antennas and some related cabling and small accessory equipment would be negligible.
Because, and I know where Councilor Penta's coming from, but I get a lot of comments from folks that they see this decrepit building, as Councilor Penta mentioned, and through you, Mr. Chairman, through Councilor Penta, did you say that building is occupied?
The building is occupied. I believe a freight company is doing it. And that's another issue there with trucks all over the place. Even on Railroad Avenue, you're not supposed to park. So there's many issues down there with this one landlord. And it's nothing to do with you people. It's all the landlord's issues and problems. But I'm not looking to give him a benefit of making money when he's not doing anything to help the city of Revere, paying his taxes and keeping the building up. So it's nothing to do with you.
Okay.
I mean,
Right.
you're here only,
You just happen to be a victim at this point. So everything will be, because the place does look like, it's getting to look like a porcupine. There's so many antennas on it. I would ask to look for a way to kind of confine everything, but after what we went through on Broadway, I don't want to go through that again. The second issue is on number 4, it says the inspection, in sentence 2, the inspection shall be conducted by an independent engineer and shall be provided to the building inspector. I would ask that we add within 30 days of the inspection at the end of the sentence of paragraph number 4. After the word inspector, building inspector, that the report be given to the building inspector within 30 days of the inspection. Okay, other than that, Mr. Chairman, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Councilor Novoselsky. Does any other councilors wish to speak on this? My expectation is that we will keep this in the subcommittee for pending Councilor Penta's, the City Council, rather, requesting an opinion based on Councilor Penta's recommendation. So if there's nothing else, we'll keep this in the subcommittee until we get this straightened out as far as the I guess the integrity, for lack of a better word, of that building down there, and its occupancy needs to be investigated a little bit more before while we have the opportunity to address all these issues together.
Okay.
Thank you very much. And I'll have the clerk notify you when the next subcommittee meeting will be met.
Okay.
I would expect it to be sooner, probably within 30 days, but again, we have to get all the other parties involved on the same page. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The last item on the agenda is item C-14-13, which is a petition by North Shore Road Trust, 755 to 777 North Shore Road, Revere, seeking permission from the Revere City Council to construct a shelter, 39 by 30 foot shelter for the purpose of storing a helicopter associated with the helicopter at 777 North Shore Road in Revere. We do have a communication from Site Plan Review on this matter as well, and Site Plan Review recommends first that no combustible or hazardous materials be stored in the shelter. 3, the shelter is to be used only for the storage of a helicopter. I'm sorry, that is 2. 3, the shelter is to be no closer than 100 feet to any property line and any other structure. And 4, the shelter is to be fenced on all sides and shall be screened in accordance with plans approved by the Site Plan Review Committee. If the proponent is here, we'll hear from him. Please state your name and address, please. Excuse me.
Steve Williams, 777 North Shore Road.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. We did hear this proposal at our most recent public hearing. Is there anything else you want to add to the what was already explained at that public hearing?
No, they seem reasonable, and any minor questions I had on it, I'd probably bring up with the building department and the planning development.
Councils? Subcommittee first, please. Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, looking at the site plan review, on item 1, it says no combustible or hazardous materials to be stored in the shelter. The question I have there is they're storing the chopper in there and it has fuel in it. So how can they ask for no combustible or hazardous materials because the chopper fuel?
If you're asking me, I think a reasonable interpretation, any reasonable interpretation of the request would be, see, here's the problem with a helicopter, okay? In order to get it there, it has to have combustible materials. I'm assuming site plan review is aware of the physics involved here, so I would say storage means storage outside of the helicopter itself. You don't think so?
I don't know.
Okay.
It's catch-22. You tell them not to store any materials in there, and then the chopper has materials in it.
Well, as I say, when one reads these things, one has to read reasonableness into it. So I would say that the helicopter couldn't possibly get there unless it materializes. And I know of no physical, even metaphysical way that the helicopter could actually get there without having a combustible material. Councilor Zambudo may have some information regarding this. He's our resident technical expert. So.
I don't have information regarding this. What I was going to say is it probably requires a gasoline storage license, as any building of this type would.
Point of information, Mr. Chairman.
Council Penta.
You refer to the clerk on this, but you need 4 vehicles in order to go for 148.
Wouldn't the helicopter be equal to 4 vehicles? I don't know.
No, it's 1 vehicle.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that that would simply mean that everybody who has a garage and an automobile in this community would have to go get a 148 license. I don't think anybody thinks that.
Well, I think we can probably vote on this and clarify the little discrepancy later.
I would suggest that we could add a condition of our own that would simply say that not including the helicopter's combustible materials that are contained within the mechanics of the helicopter, shall we say. Would that satisfy you, Councilor Novoselsky?
Yes, it would, sir.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman.
Yes,
On
yes,
your right.
Councilor Ganasso, I'm sorry, the voice of reason.
Mr. Chairman, I would think that what they're referring to is additional storage of gasoline, what a fuel that the helicopter might use. I think in reference to parking or placing the helicopter within the confines of the helicopter pad is a no-given, you know? It is what it is. So I don't think there's any additional information that's required. I think we can feel safe to vote on this evening and have the assurance that we're upholding the law. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Councilor Patch.
Chairman, I could probably clear that up for you, that in my experience in the Marine Corps, working with jet planes and helicopters, they don't fly the helicopter. They won't fly the helicopter into the storage area. They all get towed in. So, but they do not take the gas out of the helicopter. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Patch. You know, I probably should have mentioned this, but I also figured out that the helicopter wasn't going to fly into the, but thanks anyway.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Anybody else like to comment on this?
Mr. Chairman, if I can just continue.
Wait a second, well, one at a time. Councilor Powers, I believe, is the ward councilor down there, so let's hear how he figures it's going to get in there.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have no idea how it's going to get in there. What I want to speak about this evening specifically is the issuance of the permit for the garage. I recognize Mr. Williams is a fine businessman in this city. He's been here for quite some time. His uncle prior to him was a great businessman in this city, made many significant contributions to the city. However, in all fairness, to the people I represent in the Oak Island neighborhood who were opposed to this, initially, I voted no. I will also be voting no on the issuance of the permit this evening. I believe that that's the way the residents of the neighborhood want it, and I'm going to stick with them this evening. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Powers. Councilor Penta.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, if I was for or against the helicopter license initially, this is actually having one less flight a day to and from. So actually, there's 2 less flights. I think it would be more feasible to the neighborhood to have that. But the question is, common sense, and I probably know the common sense answer to this, but I'm going to ask it. They're asking for a fence around the whole property. You're building a garage with something that's in there that's secured by walls, and I'm not sure if they're putting a gate up, but when they close it up at night. So site plan review, I'm not sure, what they're asking for on some of these things. And you're right, common sense says, you put the helicopter into gas, but there's just some questions on the site plan review that, I just questioned myself when I first looked at them, like they want a fence around the whole property for what?
Point of information, Mr. Chairman. Just referring to the shelter, not the whole property. The shelter.
I understand that, but if you're putting a garage, why would I want a fence around the garage? I got a garage that's secure. That's my only thing. It's just, to me, it's just site plan review looks like they stretched it a little bit, but that's here and there. But I think it's better for the neighborhood to have this thing, one less flight, 2-day site, one less to from it. So I'll be voting for it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilor Penta. Councilor Morabito.
Thank you. I agree with Councilor Penta. Currently, they're flying to Beverly to store the helicopter, correct? Mm-hmm. And so it decreases the amount of flight. So technically the risk lessens, and it helps this is what the people of Point of Pines feared originally, the flight risk. So it lessens that. I haven't received one phone call from anyone from Point of Pines. If you recall, a couple months ago, they wanted to build, a contractor wanted to build a 42 unit down there. I received hundreds of phone calls, and I haven't received one on this, so I'm in favor of this project.
Thank you, Councilor Morabito. Councilor Arrigo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple of points based on some of the conversation that we've had so far. In terms of the the fencing, I believe as part of the conditions on the original special permit to have the helipad, they were supposed to be fencing around the helipad. So it obviously sounds like they're not in compliance with that. But so I wouldn't be opposed to the idea of having fencing around the property, but it does show that perhaps they're not in compliance with the special permit currently. I will mention, it was mentioned that fewer flights will happen, and I just want to remind everyone that they could be dealing with no flights if we had voted with the will of the people. And that's really, I mean, the reason why, and obviously everyone knows that I have family that lives in that area, that's, to put it bluntly, that's the reason why there's no one here. They feel like they have not been represented properly by the council as a whole, by this being passed. So it's a deflated group of residents that feel like their voice was not heard. So I don't necessarily blame them for not being active and kind of giving up on this. So as Councilor Powers mentioned, I, along with a couple of other councilors, voted against this. I plan to voted against the original special permit. I plan to vote against this new review. But again, there are a couple of things. Maybe we should be looking at the original conditions of the special permit. I know there were conditions about the number of flights or the time that the flights could go up and come down, and I don't know if those have been complied with. And again, that might be a conversation for another day. But I think that body of work or that history gives people a little insight into the applicant. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Rigo. Councilor Zambudo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was one of the 8 councilors that voted for the special permit for the helicopter. I don't want to go back in history as to why, but just to say shortly, that use, there was a heliport there for many, many years. And as a councilor at large, I'm up here to represent the whole city. Sometimes I have to vote what's perceived to be against the interest of a local neighborhood for the better of the whole city. That's how I judged my vote when I voted for this use and voted for the special permit. So you could say that some of the neighbors down there felt that I was going against their will. And in essence, I probably was. But it's safe to say tonight that my vote in favor of this shelter is protecting the neighborhood, is giving them less flights over the neighborhood. It's easy to say that if we voted the permit down and voted against the business, I don't know whether that would have put this gentleman out of business, but he's one of the biggest taxpayers in the area. And, things have not been great the last several years for businesses. And that was, why we were trying to help this business survive. So my vote tonight to support this shelter will be, in essence, supporting the neighborhood and giving them less flights. So that's my position on this, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Councilor Zambudo. Councilor Haas.
Thank you, Mr. President. I, for one, voted for this application way back. Now they're coming back again tonight, and I'm for it again. The issue is there's going to be less flyovers without question. It's going to be housed there, and I honestly believe it will protect the neighborhood people for in case of injury or anything else. But I had one question. Now, getting back to the fence. You have a fence around the property presently, right?
Yes.
And they're asking you to put another fence.
Well, I think it's open to interpretation. I have 7 acres entirely fenced in, locked up at night.
Right.
And, I just saw this tonight when it was presented to me, which is something that I thought I could bring up with the building department. But I think it's open to interpretation. If you need a fence around a fence around a fence, of the perimeter fence is going to protect the self-protected structure.
What type of facility will you build there? Cement or what?
I'm thinking that we're just going to
Steel?
do it off the existing hot top, which is what I discussed with the Conservation Commission when they came down for the site review plan a couple weeks ago.
And they approved it?
The only thing that might be required would be some cement footings if the augers don't hold into the earth properly. But that would be something that would be more of a contracting or engineering question.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I hadn't finished, I'm sorry. One thing led to another, but that's okay. I would ask that little sentence you included, not including that materials inside the chopper be excluded from that particular sentence. And just through you to Steve. Steve, is the 100-foot mark to any property line or any other structures an issue from where this is?
I wanted to re-inspect the plans, but I don't think so. In fact, that's one of the reasons why I placed it there, so it does have the proper footage from any neighbors and also the wetlands.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I was at the site. I viewed everything. You know, there is a fence around the fence, and the way it looks on this plan that they do want the shelter fenced in. You know, a little L-shaped fence off that side fence.
Well, half of the shelter is going to butt up to
the chopper
existing
pad,
fence now,
up to the
yeah.
pad, right? So there'll be an opening so he can be rolled out into the pad area?
It would only be accessible from within the house.
Within the pad, okay. And, because that question's number 4 is to all sides. So you'd have to do it for 3 sides rather than 4, because the 4th side is within the fenced area anyways. But I just want to make sure that you don't have a problem with these particular issues, and that, you know, and we're clarifying them to make sure that, you know, it doesn't impede anything that you would want to do down there.
Well, I also would probably be interested in having the potential of storing other things in the heliport, like generators or compressors, equipment that we've rented for years, if for some reason this helicopter venture of storing it doesn't work out. I'd hate to have just an empty shell.
It's obvious that, you know, you want it for the chopper itself, and they want to make sure that you use it for the chopper itself.
Predominantly, yeah.
So, you know, at that point, I'd kind of agree with that, because you do have a large building facility, and you do keep a lot of stuff in there. So, but, Mr. Chairman, with that one exception on that number 1 item, I would ask that you move ahead and that we vote on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Novoselsky. Is there anybody that'd like to speak on this other than the proponent? All right, if not, let me just add a couple of comments. First of all, I think the point is well taken that regardless of what and who voted for this, and at the inception, that is the use of the helicopter or the site for a helicopter. Right now, we're in a situation where storing the helicopter actually makes more sense as far as protecting the neighborhood is concerned, and I understand the people who have representative down, who represent people down there and who feel as though they have not been heard, but they were heard, and it just didn't go their way, and that's the way it is in politics. This actually should prevent, at least as has been suggested, perhaps a couple of daily trips from the heliport. Again, it's a safety, it's added safety, it's less noise theoretically. As far as, it's very clear that the site plan review is strictly, says that this is to be strictly used as a helicopter storage, and if anything else is stored in there, or if you intend to store anything else, you'll have to come before us for modification of the special permit. As to the fence issue, I think we can trust the site plan review to make adequate provisions for the fence. I don't see this as necessarily requiring additional fencing, as long as what is used for fencing is in accordance with plans approved by site plan review. So you're gonna have to take this back to site plan review and say, what do you want us to do here with the fence? We've already got this fence, that fence. Is that gonna be adequate tell us what you want to do. So I think we can trust them to figure it out. There is an additional safety issue with that helicopter being moved back and forth from the shelter into the pad area and back again when it's going out of use. And I can understand why site plan review would want to make sure that there's an adequate security so that children can't get in there and be, involved in this process or anything else that might go wrong. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to, take a vote of the subcommittee. All in favor of this in the subcommittee? All opposed? All right, we'll report this out favorably from the perspective of the subcommittee to the full city council. I would anticipate a vote later this evening. And we're a little over time, Councilor Zambudo, sorry. That concludes the zoning subcommittee meeting for August 6th, 2014. The subcommittee will reconvene at a later date. Anybody interested should contact the city clerk. Thank you.